Assalamualaikum and very good morning to all my colleagues, my friends, audience, and my beloved lecturer, Miss Wan Aryani. Okay, today I will present to you about our project. Firstly, our project name is Student Grading Information System. National Physical Fitness Standard for Malaysia School Students are well known in Malaysia as Segak project are made for the primary or the secondary school student that will be having the Segak test before they can or from the primary school they can go for the boarding school or from the secondary school they can move to the better school like a boarding school also, but it more better such as college vocational in Malaysia, such as college vocational we can see as the MRSM or other international school. Next, I will introduce about my team member that have been give their effort to make sure this project well run and success. First and foremost, there is Muhammad Taufiq bin Kamal, the team leader or designer manager. I was chosen by the company or by our organization to build this kind of program to be sold, and our main client is the government that will be using our program system in the school in the test. My other role is to choose the team member of the project. I have the responsibility to choose the right people for this project. Without the right people, this project will be worthless or not achieving our organization goal. My role of designer manager. I am the one who specified the specification and description for this project. What needed to be in there in our programming system. Next, I have my colleague that is Muhammad Rafiq Aiman bin Muzaini. He is our programmer manager. He is the one who will supervise and leading the team to in this programming system. As we all know, this is the programming system. So we need the right programmer to supervise to make sure this project can be well run. We need him to make sure he can decide which formula should be used in our program. Next, I have Muhammad Lukman Hakim bin Muhammad Yusri. He is our designer and also our data management manager. His role is to collect and to make sure we have the reliable and convenience, competence, and effective data. Reliable data is very important in any programming system that related to data management. Without the reliable, what we call it, reliable data, this project will be uncertain, unstable, and other not or bad effect will be put upon us. Next, I have the marketing manager, which is Hanif Imran bin Muhammad Rusdi. His role is to make sure he is informing, publishing, and attracting the client. He will be informing our client about our program in continuous basis, which he will, when there is something new or something we want to make, he will be the one who will be meeting with our customer and show the client about our program. Next, I have Muhammad Zaid Akmal bin Muhammad Zainan. He is our administration manager. His role is to make sure that we have the right resources, the right people to be used in our programming system project. He the one who will be arranging the people job specification. Every people have their responsibility. So he will be the one who will supervise the people administration and also will be collecting what we needed in our project so that he can report to me and I will send it to HQ. Then the HQ will support us with what we need. Okay, that's all for our team member. Next is our project significant. Firstly, our project significant is to measure got the level of student physical tests. As we all know, our programming system known as Segak is made for Segak fitness test. So as same as Segak, this programming system will measure student physical fitness. Next is to analyze and interpret student physical fitness. After we have recording, anal the analyzing of student physical fitness is very important. This will be indicate what the student have, what the student physical ability, then it will be graded. To identify the level student fitness, physical fitness. This as I have informed to you about this program system will grade student physical tests. We will know the level of student physical fitness to plan, execute follow-up action to improve student physical fitness level. After we have analyzed and we have grading, then we can know, teacher will know where the student is lacking from so that they can have some ideas to teach and to improve student physical fitness. Yeah. Lastly is to allow adoption and active and healthy lifestyle to achieve a level of physical fitness based on optimal health. So that the student will have the very optimum health status. When we have the good health status, we can do anything what we want. Health is the most important and expensive thing will be never can be replaced. The raw data is very important. This is what have been collected by our data management manager, that is Muhammad Lukman Hakim. As we can see here, we have student number ID, classes, name, identification card, age, sex, gender, address, and telephone number. All of this information is stored and given by their class teacher. In every school, every student have their unique ID number. This will be our student ID number will be our primary data that will be used in our other system in this project. There is there is also classes that have 5 classes, that is Ibn Sina, Al Farabi, Ibn Rushd, Ibn Khaldun, and Al Khawarizmi. Oh, maybe you asking me. There is identification card that also have been identified different from each student. But we can see here that we want to use student number ID as the primary data. This is because this is for school usage. In every school, every student have their different ID. This mean that the student is from our school. This student ID number. Okay, next I will present to you about in the raw data, still in the raw data, about the health status. The mass high have problem and state of the health problem. Mass and the high will be measured initially in our project in Segak test. Before the student having the Segak test, they will have to measure this mass and high. This is made to measure the student BMI. Is it to indicate either the student is obese, normal, overweight, less weight, the health problem and the state of the health problem is using the hospital, we call it specifically as given from the hospital. Every student have to be honest to tell us about their problem. So the grading system, we will understand why they can do that, why can they could not do that. So that is why we need the state the health problem. If someone have the heart problem, they cannot run. They cannot run as long as fast as the normal people, right? So we cannot say that they are not have or they are not doing their test well. So we understand they have the problems such as asthma or the heart diseases. For the Segak test, this is what we will be grading the student based on. Step up test, push up test, sit up test, and sliding reach. All of this data is collected by the student performance in their test. The step up test. This will be indicate the heartbeat after the student uh, having the test. They will indicate and measure the heartbeat of their heart. Okay, thank you. That is all from me.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Muhammad Zakma Zainal. So I would like to present for the main page for our Segak grading system. So as you can see, this is the main page for SK Taman Pantai Merdeka Gombak Kuala Lumpur. So for the student ID, we are using data validation. For example, I will type the student ID WP 531 and it will appear for the confirmation about the student ID, and we click yes, and the name and class will appear. As you can see, the student name is Aidil Hafi bin Muhammad Effendi and from class 6 Ibn Sina, and it is also automatically will appear the Segak result. For this student score is 20, which is the grade is A. So we use the VLOOKUP function to determine the score for the student. So we for this main page, we also provide the hyperlink for each sheet, meaning that we put all of the sheets in this system. So for the user to easier in in to go for other sheets. For example, if we click the individual performance, and it will automatically go to individual performance sheet, so it will be less time consuming.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Hanif Imran bin Amar Fdi, and I am going to explain two sheets which are the health status and the individual performance sheet. Okay, for the health status sheet, it is used to show the BMI, the health status, and the comment for the BMI for the student. Okay, the health status sheet is actually interrelated with the main page. Where to use this sheet, we have to key in the student ID first. Okay, as we can see, this is a student ID for Saiful Haikal. Okay, in the health status also, the name is Saiful Haikal. This is because we use a VLOOKUP from the main page to make the data the same. Same goes for the class. We use the same, which is VLOOKUP. Okay, next for the BMI, there are three elements which are the mass, height, and BMI status for the student. Okay, for the mass and height, we look up the data from the result table. Okay, for the BMI status, we actually use the real BMI formula, that is mass divided by height squared. Okay, next for the health status, this health status is an indicator to show whether the student have any health problem or no. Okay, as you can see, Muhammad CSC408 has no health problem. We use VLOOKUP based on the result table. Okay, next for the comment, the comment is actually the comment for the BMI status. So Muhammad CSC408 gets 19.9, so the comment is overweight. We use a nested if for the function. So as you can see in the formula, if a student gets a BMI of below than 14, the comment will be underweight, and so on. Okay, there are also three navigational button that which are interactive. The first top one is where to go to the BMI indicator, and the second one is to go to health statistic, and lastly is a button to go back to the main page. Three of them use hyperlink function. Okay, okay, next for the individual sheet, okay, we can see that this is actually the test result for the specific individual. Okay, on the top we can see that it has the student ID. We use data validation. So to use this, we have to key in the student ID for the student. Okay, for example, okay, okay, this is a student ID for a okay, name Muhammad Ibrahim bin Abdul Rahim. Okay, for the student personal data, from the name until the gender, the data is being used function of VLOOKUP from the result table. Okay, next for the BMI, this is just the same as the health status that I have explained just now. The mass and the height is being VLOOKUP from the result table, and the BMI is being used can be used by calculating the real formula for the BMI. Okay, next for the individual Segak test, this is the result test based on the four tests that is being conducted for each student. Okay, the personal achievement is the actual achievement that is achieved by the student. For example, this student managed to do 14 push-up, and this is the mark that the student managed to get. Okay, the personal achievement and the mark is being used the function of VLOOKUP. Okay, the sum of total marks, we just add the total number of mark here. Okay, next for the overall Segak performance, there are two which are mark and grade. Okay, this mark is based on the sum of total mark here, and the grade is based on, okay, based on the mark. Okay, this color is actually the representation of the student grade. Okay, let's say the student ID is 11. Okay, we can see that the student get the grade of D and the color is red. And for example, the student grade number, the student ID is 15. And as we can see, the color changes to green because the student gets B for the grade. Okay, we use conditioning formatting for the color of the grade. Okay, as we can see there is a donut chart where we can see the strength of the student where the student contribute most of the marks. Okay, last.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Muhammad Luqman Hakim bin Muhammad Yusri. So now I will explain another two sheet, which is the health statistic and also PE performance. So firstly, we go to the health statistic sheet. In this sheet, we decide to use another two functions, which are pivot table and also a slicer. As we know, a pivot table is used to summarize, sort, reorganize, group, count, and total a data stored in a table. For our pivot table, the data shown on the health problem that suffered by a student that ran into a Segak test. In this pivot table, we decide to sort a data or make a filtration based on four categories, which is class, including four class, gender, male and female, health status, and also the health problem that suffered by a student. From this pivot table, we decide to come out into a pie chart so that the user can have a better understanding and better view on the analysis of the data. Next, we go to a slicer. As we know, a slicer is used to provide a button that you can click to filter a table or pivot table. So here, as I told you before, we sort the data into four categories, which class, sex, gender, health status, and also the health problem that suffered by a student. So the user can choose any option from this slicer so that the option can show the data on the pivot table. As an example, when we choose a Al-Farabi, the data will show that the health status or health problem that suffered by the student in Al-Farabi class. And when we choose a health status, no health status, so that the data will show the number of students that have healthy status. As an overall use of this sheet, the user can make a better analysis and also the better understanding of the data on the student that run the Segak test. Secondly, I will explain about the PE performance sheet. In this PE performance sheet, we decide to use the same function as a previous health statistic sheet, which are pivot table and slicer. For this pivot table, we decide to show a data on a total marks of the result of the student that run into the Segak test based on class, grade, gender, and several types of tests. From this table, we decide to come out into a bar chart so that the user can have a better analysis and better view of the data. The slicer have the same function as a previous sheet as a filtration so that the user can use for better analysis on the data. From this pivot table, the user can make an analysis on the test result of the Segak test. The user also can make a relationship between the result of the Segak test based on class and the student health statistic. The class that have many students that have a problem health status can contribute to the lower test result. The user also can identify the student that have a low test grade as well as the low test result.
Hi, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Muhammad Rafi Aiman bin Muzaini. So today I will present to you about the my part. For my part, is indicator that require for this system to calculate the BMI for the student and the test performance. So we have four sheet to test about the indicator, which is the first one is BMI. So this is the appearance of BMI indicator sheet. We have three sections on this part, which is the user need to fill out the gender. We use data validation as our system to recognize their gender. There are two gender, which is male and female. So section 2, we need to fill out the requirement for the mass and height. So if there's another public user that use this system, so we can get the result of your BMI. So if we put mass 36 kilogram and height 1.50 meter, so we can get the BMI 16.0 of this from this section. So this section we use the formula of G17 divided by G19 square root of G19. So in this part we use if VLOOKUP from the BMI that we get previously. So if the user click for the male gender, so we will refer to the male part. So when the user click for the female gender, so we'll go to the female gender, which is required to show the BMI for the students. Is it enough or normal weight? Is it overweight? Is it obesity or underweight? So this is the button for the user to go to the home page, back to main page, and this one is back to health status, which is the for the part of when they click in the main page. There's another three sheet about test indicator. This is the first one, which is there's friendly user for the user to determine their result of Segak. The first section, please make sure you have choose the correct gender, which is when the user click for the female, regardless to show their gender. If male, so when they click step up test, and then they enter and push up, there's different type of student, different marks. So this part will show the test performance for for each student. So this is the mark part. Then the mark will we use the if VLOOKUP. So we'll refer to another table, which is this part of table information for teachers to get the right of the mark. So this one, if we get 18, 20, sliding reach, or 39, so this student will get 20 total marks, 20 for full mark for the test result. So this one is we use the VLOOKUP based on this table, also for the total stars and the comment section. And then another sheet, which is male and female. This is for the user to use in order they don't want to use for this sheet. They can go to directly for the one. So if I a male gender, so I will go to the male sheet. So if I was female gender, so I will go to the female sheet. So this is easier for the teachers to recognize their marks for the student. Useful for the user? Yes, this is because we have shown the information of the marks at the site. So there's the button for the test indicator sheet, there's a button for home back to main page and go to female indicator, or they want to go to the male indicator. Basically, it's the same, just like test indicator sheet for male and female. That's all for me. Thank you.
Assalamualaikum. I'm Zaid. So for the next part, which is I will presenting about the functions of these three sheets, which is male, female, and result. So as we can see, we are differentiate between male and female because if we show the differences regarding to their grading system. So for male, we are having the all data for male students that shows about their students ID, gender, and so on. That we link all of it with the data input. So for the you can slide to the right that you can see the VLOOKUP data that shows their grade and the marks that they can get for their Segak activity. So for example, you can see the step up test. If the student get 77 and below, then he will get the 5 mark, which is the maximum. So different to female, the same we did like for the male sheets, but the difference is the marks that they will get. For example, we take a push-up test. If the female student get 18 to 20, so she will get only 4 out of 5. So the differences of marks is different between male and female. We also using the VLOOKUP data for these sheets. And for the result, we combine all of the students ID, male and female, from WP531001 until WP5311 to 5. So all of the students' data will have in these sheets. So these sheets will show all of the result for their tests, for the push-up test, sit-up test, and so on. And this will also appear their grade. So the user, for example the teacher, can easily get the data and total up all of the marks by referring on this result. So that's all. Thank you.
Lastly, if you are interested or have any inquiries on this system, don't hesitate to ask us, and we hope that this system can give a huge impact to ease the teachers in performing the Segak test. That is all from us. Thank you.